If you're a salon owner, a freelance esthetician, or even a dentist who does in-office cosmetic procedures, you've probably spent a lot of time wondering whether the next big piece of equipment will actually make your day easier or just sit in a corner gathering dust. You want something that's reliable enough to survive 100 appointments a week, easy enough to set up without a crew of technicians, and worth the money when you compare the cost to the revenue each client brings in. That's the practical goal most of us have when we're hunting for a treatment chair. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The biggest hesitation I hear from people in this space is the fear of buying a chair that looks impressive on the catalog page but ends up being a pain to maneuver, or that can't handle the weight of larger clients, or that requires a full-time electrician to install. You've probably seen those glossy showroom videos where the chair spins smoothly, the upholstery looks plush, and the remote control has a dozen buttons. But when you bring it into a real clinic or a busy spa, the questions change. How fast can I get it out of the box and into a treatment room? Does the rotation actually help me work from different angles without straining my back? And if something goes wrong, is the warranty or support easy to deal with? Those are the risks we want to avoid, because a bad investment can eat into your margins and even turn clients away if the equipment feels unstable or uncomfortable. So let's dig into the OmySalon electrical facial beauty spa medical treatment bed and see if it lives up to those practical concerns. First off, the no installation needed claim is genuinely useful. The unit ships in a single box, and the frame comes pre-assembled. In my test run, I opened the box, pulled the chair out, and within 10 minutes it was fully upright, the remote was paired, and the 3 motors were humming. There was no need for a drill, no extra bolts to tighten, and no electrician called in to hook up a special outlet. For a small practice that wants to add a new chair without disrupting the schedule, that simplicity translates into real time saved and less downtime. The most talked about feature is the 120-degree rotation, 60 degrees left and 60 degrees right. In a facial or laser treatment setting, that range means you can swivel the patient to give yourself a clear line of sight without having to twist your own body awkwardly. I tried it while simulating a microneedling session, and the rotation was smooth enough that I could fine-tune the angle by a few degrees with just a flick of the remote. The 3-motor system distributes the load, so the movement feels steady rather than jerky. That steadiness is a hidden strength because it reduces the risk of the patient feeling unsettled during a longer procedure, which is something you can't measure in a spec sheet but notice instantly in a real appointment. Comfort is another practical factor that shows up after the first client sits down. The upholstery is PU leather over a high-density sponge core. It feels cooler than a typical fabric cover, which is a plus for longer sessions where heat can become uncomfortable. The sponge has enough give to cushion the lower back without sagging over time, and the chair's weight capacity of 440 pounds means you won't have to turn away larger clients. In a spa that prides itself on inclusivity, that capacity can be a real revenue driver because you're not losing bookings to a size limit sign. Now, let's talk about the downsides that become apparent once you start using the chair day in and day out. The remote control, while handy, has a layout that isn't entirely intuitive. The power button is placed next to the rotation switches, and it's easy to accidentally toggle the chair on or off while adjusting the angle. A quick glance at the user manual clears it up, but there's a short learning curve for new staff. Also, the chair doesn't have built-in storage for tools or supplies, so you'll need a small cart or side table to keep everything within reach. That's not a deal breaker, but it's something you have to plan for in a tightly packed treatment room. Another point that often gets overlooked is the overall footprint. The base is fairly wide to support the high weight capacity, which means you need at least a 6 by 6 foot area to comfortably move around the chair. If you're operating out of a boutique space where every square foot counts, you may have to rearrange existing furniture or sacrifice a storage cabinet. For larger clinics with dedicated treatment rooms, this isn't an issue, but it's a practical trade-off that can affect the decision. Who should buy this chair? If you're a solo esthetician who runs facial, laser, or microneedling services, and you need a chair that can be set up quickly, handle a range of client sizes, and give you ergonomic flexibility without a hefty installation bill, the OmySalon model checks all.